Dynasty running back tier list. This is the first time we're making it post NFL draft, so rookies are included. I'm excited to share it with you guys. We are looking at 60 Dynasty running backs broken up into 8 different tiers. Now, before we get started, one thing I'd like to say is that when it comes to tier lists for running backs compared to other positions, you always want tier 3 guys over the tier 4 guys, almost always, right? For me, for running backs, it's very different. Sometimes you're going to want a tier 5 guy versus a tier 4 guy. I broke these guys up into tiers based on how we should perceive them and look at them, not necessarily always saying I'd prefer this guy over that guy. And it will make sense as I go along. It depends on your team and the situation that you're in. So we're going to jump right into it here. And we're starting off with the tier 1, the 5 guys that I would take over any other running backs. These are the only 5 running backs that I confidently, 100% look beyond 2024. I'm thinking about 2024, 2025, 2026. I'm looking 2 to 3 years generally with these guys. These are the only ones. Is Bijan, of course, is in the tier 1 for me. Breece Hall is in tier 1 for me. Jahmyr Gibbs is in tier 1 for me. Jonathan Taylor is in tier 1 for me. These 4 guys, I feel very, very confident. If I acquire them on my team, that I have locked up a running back spot for at least 2 years, maybe beyond. These are the only 4 that I look at. Now, I'm going to add also Christian McCaffrey into tier 1 because he just breaks fantasy football. Now, is there some uncertainty with Christian McCaffrey because he's getting older? Sure. Would I be surprised if he just keeps playing till he's 30 years old? I would not. And he just breaks fantasy football, so he has to go to tier 1. So he's kind of the exception to the rule. These are the 5 guys that I'm wanting to acquire these guys on my team no matter what time of year, off season, during the season. If I can get these guys on my team, I feel comfortable with my running back room. These are the difference makers. Tier 2. Tier 2 are guys that I would put money on, banking on them beyond 2024. I'd feel comfortable betting and saying, yeah, I think these guys are going to play beyond 2024. I feel comfortable with what they're going to give me. Of course, they're going to play beyond 2024, but I can mark them down as their situation's not going to change beyond 2024. But there is a little bit of uncertainty, and that'll make sense to you as we move along. Guys like Achane are on this list. Now, Achane is obviously going to play beyond 2024, but there's some question marks. Can he stay healthy? Can he play 17 games? Can he take on a workload of 15 touches a game rather than just 10, right? There's questions. So he doesn't belong in tier 1 in my opinion. He belongs in tier 2. Travis Etienne, he's very close. Out of the tier 2 guys, Etienne's probably the closest to tier 1. But there are a little bit of questions in terms of we see second year inefficiency numbers from Etienne, especially last year. We'll see if the Jags kind of are a disappointment again. They could bring in a whole new coaching staff and they could just move on from Etienne. I know he's going to be there in the next 2 years, but there are some questions in terms of the workload that they're going to give him. Are they going to give him 75% or are they going to try and lower it to 60 or 65%? Kyren Williams, again, there's some question marks. He's a 5th round guy. We want to see him do it again. He was hurt last year, and that was kind of the knock on him. And the reason why he wasn't a 3rd or 2nd rounder was because of his size, under 200 pounds. So there's some questions there. Saquon Barkley, again, there's some questions beyond 2024. I think he's going to be really, really good in 2024, but he's getting up there in age. He is. I still feel confident he's going to be good for multiple years. I would still put money on it, but there's some questions compared to these guys who there aren't really any questions in my opinion. And then we have Kyren Williams. I already said Kenneth Walker. I feel pretty confident in Kenneth Walker being Seattle's running back, being a top 12 guy for the next couple of years. Now, there are some questions. Charbonnet, new coaching staff. Are they going to use Charbonnet more? I still think Kenneth Walker is really, really good. And he's the best running back on that team. And then I'm going to put Jonathan Brooks in this tier. The first rookie on our list. He goes into tier 2, in my opinion. And it's just they traded up to get him. He got, top 50 draft capital in the NFL draft. If he didn't tear his ACL in November, he would have been, the clear-cut number one guy. I don't know if he would have went much higher than he did, but he's going to be Carolina's guy. They have a new coaching staff in there that's going to be there at least 2 years, I would hope. And Jonathan Brooks is going to be their guy. He's going to be their guy. So if he has a monster season, a really good season, he could easily move into tier 1. Tier 3. Tier 3 are guys that I'm kind of 50-50 on beyond 2024 in terms of their current situations. Again, of course they're going to play in 2025, but are they going to maintain what they're, I feel confident in what they're going to get in 2024, their role in 2024. Are they going to maintain that in 2025? I'm a little bit closer to 50-50. I'd be a little bit more hesitant putting money on it. Tier 2 guys, I'll put money on it. Travis Etienne, his role in 2024, I think is going to be very similar in 2025. I'll put money on it. These guys, I'm a little bit more hesitant to do. Okay. And, can they reach top 5 running back? All these guys, in my opinion, can be top 5 running backs. All these guys. Tier 3, I'm a little bit more hesitant on them. How confident I am them to be like top 5. James Cook. Good player. I like him. Good offense. I think he'll be with Buffalo and kind of have the same role for the next couple of years. But there's more questions there. Also, what's his ceiling with Josh Allen stealing touchdowns? It's a little bit lower. Isaiah Pacheco. Again, I kind of talked about this in the sell high video. Pacheco, are they going to give him – he was on pace. If he didn't miss the 3 games, I think he was on pace for like 250 carries, which would have been way more than any running back has gotten under the Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes Chiefs. Are they really going to move towards, running the ball 15 plus times a game with one guy? I don't know. Also, the catches are there. We don't know. His touchdowns could fluctuate, in my opinion. He's not a clear-cut mark him in for 8 plus touchdowns. He could have 4 or 5. He could have a negative touchdown year. Rachaad White, great last year. He was a top 5 running back. Was inefficient on the ground. Do they work a guy like Bucky Brooks more in? We'll see. Coaching staff could change in after 2024. If they disappoint or don't make the playoffs. So I feel semi-confident that Rachaad White's going to be a good running back for the next 2 years. But I don't want to put too much stock into saying I have Rachaad White. I'm good until 2026. I don't want to make that mistake, and that's a big mistake that we make with running backs. Josh Jacobs, again, 1-year contract with the Packers. Essentially a 1-year contract. They can get out of it. Still young, right? Still young, so he could go to another team. But in terms of his current role, I don't know if he's going to be the clear-cut guy in 2025 and beyond. He probably will, but I'm not 100% sure. Not 100% sure. 2 more guys here for you. DeAndre Swift, 2-year contract with the Bears. I feel fairly confident that he's going to he had a 3-year contract, but it's essentially 2 years. I feel fairly confident he's going to be on the Bears for the next 2 years. We don't know 100% what his role is, but I think he's going to have a good role. He's probably going to get 220 plus touches, 250 touches with like 40 or 50 of those as catches. So feel fairly confident with DeAndre Swift being in my tier 3. He could be a top 15 running back pretty easily. And then I have another rookie here in Trey Benson. I like Trey Benson a lot. I would have him potentially in tier 2, but this year he's most likely going to sit behind Connor, so that does bump him just 1 tier below. Running backs, we need you to produce, right? We have a few years of you. We want you to produce right away. And Benson's probably not going to do too much year 1 unless James Conner gets hurt, in my opinion. So now we're moving on to tier 4. And tier 4 is basically made up of guys that I'm fairly confident I know what they're going to give me in 2024, but I'm not even thinking about 2025 and beyond. Tier 1, 2, and 3, I can bring myself. Tier 1, I'm thinking about 2025, 2026 with these guys. Tier 2, I'm pretty comfortable thinking about 2025, 2026 with these guys. Tier 3, I'm not as comfortable, but I'm still fairly comfortable thinking about 2025 with these guys. Tier 4 is where it drops off a bit. All these guys, almost all these guys, I believe, almost all these guys are young guys who I'm really confident in what their role is going to be in 2024, but I'm not even thinking about, I have an asset from 2025, 2026. I'm not even thinking about it. Starting off with a guy like Javonte Williams. I'm fairly confident Javonte Williams is going to lead the Broncos in carries. He's probably going to catch 40 passes. He could have a good role a year, a year off of 2 years off of an ACL injury now. I'm fairly confident that Javonte Williams is going to be, with Bo Nix there, who likes to check it down. He's probably going to be a top 15, top 20 running back, in my opinion. 2025, I have no idea. He could no longer be on the Broncos, and I don't know where he's going to be. David Montgomery is another one of those. I'm confident what he's going to be with the Lions. He's going to probably get double-digit touchdowns. He's going to rush for almost 1,000 yards. He's going to catch 30 balls or so. 2025, I have no idea. I'm not thinking about 2025 with these guys. I'm not thinking about them. Zamir White is another one. Fairly confident what I can get. He's a little bit different here because he's a little bit of a wild card. We've seen Montgomery produce. We've seen Javonte produce. We've seen Zamir White produce for like 3 or 4 games. So he's a little bit different from this other tier 4 guys. But you look at their depth chart, it's like Alexander Madison and like Brandon and Amir Abdullah, right? And a 6th-round rookie and Dylan Lobby. I feel fairly confident that I know what Zamir White's going to be. Now, he could be super inefficient and just not very good. That's always a possibility. And maybe he is. So I don't want to think about 2025. Zamir White can easily move into tier 3 for me. But as of right now, he's in tier 4. Ramondre Stevenson is another one. I feel fairly confident Ramondre is going to lead the Patriots in carries. He's going to catch a decent amount of passes, 30, 40 catches. I'm fairly confident he's going to be an RB2. Beyond that, I have no idea. Najee Harris, another guy. You see the trend here. I know what Najee is going to give me. He's going to be a top 24 running back, maybe top 15. He's going to have a bunch of carries. He's going to have more touchdown opportunities because the offense is going to be better. But they didn't do his 5th-year option, so we don't know where his role is going to be in 2025. Zach Moss. A lot of people might be shocked by this one. Zach Moss, to me, is a guy that we're sleeping on a little bit. Go look at the Bengals depth chart. Go look at their depth chart. If you check it out, we have Zach Moss, Chase Brown, who, Chase Brown looked explosive for a few games there, but we don't know what he is. Travion Williams he hasn't done anything in the NFL. He's been in the league for 5-6 years. Chris Evans hasn't done anything. Zach Moss is going to be the Joe Mixon for this team, in my opinion. Maybe they work in Chase Brown a little bit more for his explosiveness, but Zach Moss is going to be the Joe Mixon. If he can stay healthy, he's going to be a top 15 running back on a good offense. I know what I have in Zach Moss in 2024. Beyond that, I have no idea. Tony Pollard is another guy. I feel fairly confident here in saying I know what I have in. He's a little bit different because he did sign a pretty big contract. I think he's going to be with the Titans for 2 years. What makes him a little bit different from the other guys is we just don't know exactly what his role is going to be. Is it going to be 65-35 with Tajay Spears, 65 to Pollard, or is it going to be 50-50? So that's why I kind of hedged my bet. If I knew that Pollard was going to be, a 65% of the carries and running back catches, I would probably bump him to tier 3, to be honest. But I just don't know that as of right now. It could be more of a 50-50 split. And then one more guy here, Joe Mixon. And the reason why he's also a little bit different because he is older. He is going to be 28, I believe. He'll be 28 in July, so he'll be 28 before the season starts. Now, he should be on the Texans for the next 2 years, and he's going to be on a good offense. I almost want to put him in tier 3, but his age gives me a little bit of concern because specifically when he's 29 years old and playing on year 29. So does he slow down a bit and they do they bring in someone else to kind of go 50-50 with Mixon? This year, though, I feel great about Mixon. So this is what I mean. Like tier 5, you're going to see a lot of old heads. And there's situations, honestly, where I want some tier 5 guys over the tier 4 guys. It doesn't mean I want all the tier 4 guys over the tier 5 guys. There's a couple guys in here, like, for example, Derrick Henry. We just talked about it. All these guys in 2024, I'm not looking beyond. Now, are they going to play beyond 2024? All these guys in tier 4? Of course. But what's their role going to be? I don't know. And so for that reason, I feel like Derrick Henry could be a top 5 running back this year. I don't really feel like that with any of these other guys here. I don't feel like they can be top 5 guys. So there's times when I would want Derrick Henry on my Dynasty team over David Montgomery or Zamir White, even though they're younger, right? And that's a big mistake we make with running backs. Sometimes we take age too much into account and we look beyond 2024. I have no idea what David Montgomery's going to do in 2025. Same thing with Derrick Henry, but I know Derrick Henry is going to possibly be a top 5 running back in 2024. So we have a lot of old heads here. Almost all these guys are essentially tier 4 guys. I'm confident in what they're going to get in 2024. Don't look beyond 2024, but they're older. That's the biggest difference. Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, who, we're sitting here on May 12th, so it's tough with Nick Chubb and not knowing his injury stuff. But we're going to assume that maybe he'll be healthy. James Conner, Raheem Mostert. I love this tier. This is the tier that we undervalue in Dynasty way too much. These guys, any of these guys, maybe except for like Aaron Jones, they could be top 5, top 7, top 10 running backs. Aaron Jones could be too. Hell, he could be too. But the difference between them and tier 4, even though these guys can, to me, have a better chance of having a better 2024 season than the tier 4 guys, is the age. And this is what I mean by it's not just because they're in a tier above means I always want them over tier 5. No, that's not true. Depends on my team. Depends on what I need. Now there's a couple more here that I do want to highlight, and these are young guys. It's Tajay Spears, Jalen Warren, and Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson, he's a tough one because of the new coaching staff. These are 3 young guys who aren't handcuffs, in my opinion. They're going to have a role. I just don't know exactly what their role is going to be, right? Is Tajay Spears going to be 50-50? Is he going to be 35? Is Jalen Warren going to be the same role as last year? Is Brian Robinson going to be the same role as last year? Or are they going to lean more on Eckler? So I just don't know their role, which is why I kind of group them into tier 5. I don't want to put them into tier 4 because I'm not sure. These guys, I'm almost 100% sure what their role is going to be. These 3 guys, I'm just not sure yet. It could be like tier 4, but I just don't know. Moving into tier 6. Tier 6, I call we're sleeping on them group. We might be sleeping on these guys. We might be disrespecting these guys. There's a lot of value in tier 6, in my opinion. Guys like Devin Singletary, who could lead the Giants in carries, looked really good for the Texans down the stretch, has looked good in stretches, is reunited with Dayball. Devin Singletary just could be a very sneaky running back play. RB2 this year. Jerome Ford, we don't know about Nick Chubb's health. We don't know if Deontay Foreman's the RB2 or RB3. Jerome Ford just could do what he did last year and be top 24, but we're not really ranking him and perceiving him like that. Gus Edwards, another guy that I think is going to lead the Chargers in carries. There's a little bit more questions here, in my opinion. I don't know. I can't definitively say what their role is going to be, but I think we're sleeping on all these guys. Gus Edwards could lead the Chargers in carries and have double-digit touchdowns and be a top 20 running back. Austin Eckler, are we sleeping on him? The dude was fantasy gold forever, and he started off the year last year. If you remember, he started off 2023 looking really good. He was awesome, and then he got hurt, high ankle sprain, and he never looked the same the rest of the year. I think he had like one game where he looked really good, and then he just never really looked good after that. Week 1, that is, because of his high ankle sprain. Are we sleeping on Austin Eckler? Is he going to get 180 carries and 50 catches? It's not out of the realm of possibility on a potentially really good team for running the ball with Jaden Daniels. Zeke, Rico Dowdle. I pair these guys together because they're both on the same team. I don't really know who's going to be the main one here. I have a feeling it's going to be Zeke, just because of loyalty, and Jerry Jones loves Zeke and they trust him, and they don't know what they have with Rico Dowdle. Both these guys I kind of grouped together at the moment, but I think we're sleeping on them a little bit. I know it's not sexy to have Rico Dowdle on your team. If he gets the volume, he's going to be a top 24 running back. Volume is king for running backs. I think we're sleeping on these guys. 2 more for you that we're potentially sleeping on. It's kind of 2 guys who I'm not quite sure if they're just handcuffs or if they're going to be worked into, if they're going to be more like a Jalen Warren or Tajay Spears last year. Are they going to be purely handcuffs with no value at all? Or are you going to be able to maybe start these guys in a flex spot in a heavy bye week? like you were able to with Warren and Tajay Spears. Ty Chandler and Kendre Miller. Both are playing behind. Both are young, have looked good. Ty Chandler looked good taking over for Alexander Madison last year in a couple games. Kendre Miller, a lot of people were high on coming out of the 2023 draft. These guys could be worked in. They could be more than just handcuffs. They're both play behind older running backs, Aaron Jones and Alvin Kamara, and they could be more of a 50-50 split. So that's why I put them in tier 6, because tier 7 is basically handcuffs. We're talking handcuffs here. Almost all these guys are handcuffs, in my opinion. I think they're all handcuffs, actually, but they're handcuffs that I want to have. They're like the high-end handcuffs, yeah? Guys like Zach Charbonnet, right? Blake Corum. A lot of rookies are in here. A lot of rookies. We just don't know what we have with these rookies yet, but I think all these rookies come into a position where they're handcuffs. Marshawn Lloyd, I think, beats out A.J. Dillon and is the backup to Josh Jacobs. If Josh Jacobs doesn't get hurt, I don't really expect much from Marshawn Lloyd in 2024, but he's a rookie. He has some juice, and we need to respect that he's a handcuff and a high-end one, in my opinion. Jalen Wright. I know Achane and Mostert are there, but I think Jalen Wright, Miami's going to use 2 running backs no matter what. I think Jalen Wright is probably like their kickoff guy for the most part. But if Mostert goes down or Achane goes down, Jalen Wright's going to have value. Bucky Irving to Rashad White. Chase Brown to Zach Moss, I think, is the handcuff. Tyler Algier, we know he's a handcuff to Bijan Robinson. At least we hope. And then Chuba Hubbard. All handcuffs here. Chuba Hubbard, I think, is a sneaky. We're kind of forgetting about him. Remember, Jonathan Brooks is coming off an ACL injury in November. They might ease him in. He might not be healthy or fully back the first 4 or 5 weeks. Could have decent Chuba Hubbard 4 or 5 week run for fantasy. So I think we're forgetting about him just a little bit. And then number 8, tier 8, I just call this my wild card group. Guys like Keaton Mitchell is just a complete wild card coming off an injury. They obviously brought in Derrick Henry. They have Justice Hill. They have Rasheen Ali, who I really like. So he's a little bit of a wild card. He could be a good, solid player this year. He could just be nothing. Roshan Johnson. How are they gonna run with DeAndre Swift? One of the big things with DeAndre Swift is that he can never stay healthy. Well, he stayed healthy last year, but are they gonna try and use a little bit more split backfield, or is Roshan just purely a handcuff? Audric Estime, a couple more rookies in here. Audric Estime, I think is the handcuff or backup to Javonte, but they also have other guys there like Julio McLaughlin that I'm not really sure, where they fit. Speaking of, Julio McLaughlin's on this list. Is it going to be all Javonte, or are they going to run it like the old Saints backfields with the Thunder and Lightning, the Pierre Thomas and Darren Sproles, or the Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara? Is Julio McLaughlin going to play that Darren Sproles, Alvin Kamara role a little bit? Kamani Vidal. I love Kamani Vidal. I targeted him on all my Dynasty teams. He could be the RB2 very easily for the Chargers. But there's other guys there like J.K. Dobbins, Isaiah Spiller. So to me, he could easily, move up a couple tiers. Kamani Vidal, really like him, but he's a little bit of a wild card. Ray Davis, really liked Ray Davis coming out of college this year, rookie, out of Kentucky. Looked really good in college. Has really good underlying metrics. Is he the RB2 for behind James Cook in Buffalo? I'm not sure, because they also brought in Frank Gore. And I think Frank Gore Jr. has a decent chance at being the backup there. So I'd put my money on Ray Davis, but I wouldn't be surprised if Frank Gore is the backup there. Braylon Allen is another wild card. He might not be the backup there. They have Isaiah Davis, who they drafted. They drafted Braylon Allen in round 4, Isaiah Davis in round 5. And then they also have Israel Abanikanda in round 5 from last year too. Any one of those 3 could be the backup to Brees. 2 more guys here. Rasheen Ali, who I mentioned, really like him. The super productive and explosive at Marshall. The Ravens drafted him in the 5th round. I think he has a really good chance of being the backup to Derrick Henry, because I don't really think I don't think Keaton Mitchell profiles as like if Derrick Henry goes down, Keaton Mitchell is going to take 20 carries. That's not his game. Rasheen Ali could be one of those players. I think he can take a full workload. So I think he is potentially the backup to Derrick Henry, but there's some questions. And then Tyrone Tracy is my last guy. Again, converted wide receiver to running back. They drafted him, I believe, in the 6th round or maybe 5th round of the NFL draft. The Giants did. He has some intriguing explosiveness type of play to him. Devin Singletary, I don't think has a firm grasp on that backfield. So I think Tyrone Tracy is a little bit of a wild card. So there you have it, guys. That's 60 running backs divided into 8 different tiers. Hopefully I explained the tiers pretty well for you guys. Real quick, if you want to stick around, these are my studs locked up for the next 3 years or something, right? Tier 2, these are the guys I feel good beyond 2024, but there are small questions. Yeah. Tier 3 guys, I'm 50-50 on beyond 2024, right? Tier 4 guys, love 2024, not even thinking about not even thinking beyond 2024. 2025 guys, the old heads. Yeah, these are the old heads. Yeah, the old heads / young guys who I am unsure about. Yeah. Tier 6 guys, are we sleeping on them? Are we sleeping on them? Should we be giving these guys more value? Yeah. Tier 7 guys, handcuffs. And then tier 8, we have the wild card. There you have it, guys. That's my tier list. Let me know what you think in the chat. As always, like and subscribe. We'll catch you guys all in the next video.